Welcome to A World Gone Mad, Season 1, Episode 43. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. First, an important announcement about my podcast. I mentioned last episode about my dilemma about whether I would continue or end my podcast. I said last week, what's the point? Nobody cares whether I do the podcast or not anymore. Donald Delusional won the election. What is the reason to even continue? I don't earn money from this podcast. In fact, I spend money each month doing this podcast. And health-wise, it's not the best thing for me each week. After telling you all about my thoughts last episode, it did not take a lot of time or any anxiety at all for me to make my final decision. Yes, I will continue my podcast. I'm continuing my podcast and I'm doing it for me. And I'm not going to give up because of them, MAGA. I'm not giving them the satisfaction of quitting. So the Wolfpack listeners are stuck with me from here on out. A World Gone Mad will move forward and expand and grow. Some things I need to address before I continue. I want to thank the people who took the time to email me and text me after the last episode, especially considering the results of the election and you sending your thoughts and comments. To all of you, a heartfelt thank you. Your words, your insights, your thoughts were very much appreciated. I also have a lot of new listeners that just joined, and I want to thank you and explain to you that this will not be a typical episode of my podcast. So if this is the first episode you're going to listen to, stay with me, please. Listen to a previous episode or two. Continue on because you'll see where I'm going to take this podcast. Today, I'm diverting a little bit from my normal structure. Now, typically, I give my commentary on national and world news and politics. All of us now are aware that Donald Delusional is now the president-elect. And after January 6th, he will become Donald the Dictator. And we already see some of the ramifications of his anointment. He's showing he wants unchecked power over all branches of government. He named his chief of staff, his border czar, ambassador to the UN, and he just named, right before I recorded this episode, his deputy chief of policy. And that person is Stephen Miller. Yes, there's vomiting sound effects heard in the background. The Stephen Miller tied to Project 2025. Trump also just yesterday stated he doesn't want to deal with Congress. He wants to just appoint all of his cabinet members directly, without vetting hearings and congressional approval. So what else is new? This is to be expected on a daily basis, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all about Donald. Now, some of you wrote to me that you were getting out of following politics or the news, social media, etc. Some of you said you were going to stop listening to my podcast because you didn't want to hear more bitching and whining and negativity about Donald and what he's going to do. That you just couldn't take it anymore. It was too overwhelming and depressing, and I respect those opinions and feelings. And it made me think a bit differently about things in regards to my podcast. But I want to remind you, divorcing yourself from politics and the news is not the answer. A little insight to me. Many years ago, I was the production director for WNN, the nationwide radio station that was called the Motivation Station. We played Anthony Robbins, Leo Buscaglia, Wayne Dyer, Roger Von Eck, Tom Hopkins, Robert Shula, many other great motivational speakers. And I've learned things over the years on how to deal with hopeless or desperate situations. And these things I learned have become a part of my personality and my philosophy in life. Now, one of my favorite philosophies, life philosophies, that I've used for the last couple of decades was said by Kobe Bryant. Now, I don't really care what you think about Kobe Bryant, the person, but this is what he said. It's one of my favorite comments. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's not known when Kobe first said this, but for example, if Kobe was asked, "Hey Kobe, you just lost the third game in the NBA championship, and you and the Lakers are about to be eliminated. What are you going to do about it?" Kobe replied, "It is what it is." When he tore his Achilles and he would be out for most of the year, he replied, "It is what it is." Kobe's philosophy was called the Mamba Mentality. Now please pay attention, listen carefully, and apply what I'm telling you to what's happening in our country right now, please. Kobe said, "Life is too short to get bogged down and be discouraged. You have to keep moving. You have to keep going. You put one foot in front of the other, you smile, and you just keep on rolling." So what exactly the hell does this have to do with Donald winning the election? Well, that leads me to my other philosophy in life that I'm passing along to you, the Wolfpack listeners, about where we stand in our country's moment, right now in time, right at this particular essence in history, and how to deal with this terrible situation. So everyone, please listen closely. We can't control what we can't control. Hey Jeff, when is Aunt Martha going to bring the birthday cake to Dad's birthday party? I don't know. I don't have a clue. I can't speak for or control Aunt Martha. I can't control what I can't control. I can control when I will be at the party with the snacks and dips and drinks. In other words, everyone, Donald was elected. Whether you feel it was rigged or not, whether you feel down, disgusted, depressed, helpless, etc., maybe you think they're going to find fraud in some of the swing states, and it's going to reverse the election in Kamala's favor. That may or may not happen. However, in the meantime, in reality, we can't control what we can't control. We can't magically turn around what happened in the election. And as Kobe said, it is what it is. And the second life philosophy, what I just said, we can't control what we can't control. I am laser focused and serious about these two philosophies. And I'm asking you, the listeners, to do something right now with me. Hear me. Join me right now. Please participate. Take a leap of faith. Trust me a little bit here. I want everyone to close their eyes. Everyone who's listening to close their eyes. Yes, Bill, Kenny, Debbie, Beth, Ellen, Victoria, Doug, Agnes, everyone listening. Close your eyes. Unless you're driving, of course. Don't do that. Okay, ready? Take a deep breath. Hold it. And then slowly, fully exhale. Do it a second time. Deep breath. Come on. Slowly, fully exhale. It is what it is, people. We can't control what we can't control. But what we can control is how we're going to handle our lives from today on with the aftermath of this terrible outcome with this election. Donald Delusional, soon to be Donald Dictator, will be in charge. There's not a damn thing we can do about it. So let's first understand the premise, which some of you may already know. We can't change the world. We can't change others until we work on ourselves. You've heard this. It's true. And I offer this to some of you who wrote to me that you were older, health-wise not doing well, and you were scared after this election. I don't discount any of these emotions, any of what you're feeling. The anger, the hurt, the disillusionment, the venom some of you feel towards over half of this country who decided this election. So I'm going to share with you my third philosophy that relates to right now in our country with what's going to happen moving forward. I'm a list maker. I like making lists. I've made lists for the last 50 plus years of my life. A to-do list for each day, things to accomplish each day. And what I learned from Tom Hopkins, the famous motivational speaker, is that you make a list, you write down 6 things you're going to do that day. And by the way, I do this the day before the day I'm going to do it the next day. In other words, I do it the night before the following day. That's the best way to do a to-do list. You don't make your list on the day of when you want to do it. The reason is if you do it the night before, you think about the things you're going to do the next day while you're sleeping. It gives you more clarity and action for the next morning. So for those of you that make lists, I'm going to guess, this is just a speculation on my part, I'm going to guess that the first thing you listed on your to-do list wasn't that important of a thing to do. Let me explain. Not all of you do this, but I'm guessing most of you. Even if you don't make a list, but you do it in your mind. You say, this is the most important thing I'm going to do today. For example, I wrote down I have to do my laundry. Laundry is not important in the scheme of things. Yeah, if you're naked and you have no clothes whatsoever in the whole house to wear, then do some laundry. I need to dust those shelves in the den. That's really not that important. I'm going to guess that the most important thing you need to do each day is either at the bottom of your 6 things you listed, or it's not even on your list of 6. Make that doctor's appointment. Make that vet appointment. See your lawyer. Sit down at the bank to open up that account you were talking about. And again, for those of you right now that are asking in your brain, what the hell does any of this that Jeff's talking about have to do with politics or news? It has everything to do with it. And how we're going to deal with our life from here on out. Because it's going to get harder, everyone. A lot harder with Trump in the White House and his MAGA supporters around him. People emailed me and said, Jeff, we need to hear a plan on what to do about the election, not bitching and whining. So I'm giving you some ideas. Stay with me. I'm trying to offer you concrete ways to deal with your day each and every day moving forward. We can't change an election by staying angry and down and upset and saying this was rigged. Donald's terrible and they're going to kill our country. We can't do any of that. We can't change anything until we take care of our own small bubble in our own world. We can't change the bigger world at large. I hope all of you, if not most of you, are following and staying with me on this. A lot of people that texted me and emailed, I have to reemphasize this and underline it and bold it, are broken in their comments. It hurt me to read these things. People in their 80s and older, they're lost. They don't know what to do, and they're upset about the results of this election. So especially for you, tune in. For those of you who are younger, this should benefit you also. What is the one thing you need to take care of that you keep putting off? The one thing that's the hardest thing for you to do that you haven't attended to because in your mind, it's so difficult to do and it takes too much time. Write it down right now. What comes to your mind where you say, damn, I don't really want to do this, but it's imperative to finish this? Tom Hopkins, who I met personally, the motivational speaker, said, if you do this same thing for 30 days, you will complete 30 of the most important things you've ever done in your life instead of getting distracted by bullshit and other items that you don't need to waste your energies on. In other words, the election and Donald and MAGA and the Republicans and the women and the Latino males and they're taking away the choices of my body and got it. We got it. Let's concentrate on us first. One step at a time, guys. One victory after another. So email me. Text me through the app you're on right now. What is the one thing you're going to do tomorrow that you've been putting off that is imperative to do? And you know once you do it, you're going to feel great. Imagine 30 days of feeling great after feeling so crappy this past week. By doing the most important thing you need to do each day and not get lost in this terrible outcome of this election. Email me at wolfpacklistener, WOLFPACK listener at gmail.com. And if you text me through the app, please leave your name, your first name, where you're listening from. I get these great texts, but I don't know who's sending them. Most of you, and it's understandable, forget to do that. I understand that. I get this great comment. I'd like to know who sent it, please. And don't forget about the Wolfpack membership. For those of you that don't know, it's free. If you want to find out more information, email me. Ask for the link, and I will send it to you. Joining the Wolfpack for free, you will never be charged for my podcast when I start charging, and you'll get a lot of other perks and benefits. I want everyone here to be able to process the results from this election and the terrible consequences of Donald the dictator being in charge in America, and that's by concentrating on yourself first. Please, this is the only way we're going to make it through all of this garbage. Say it out loud, everyone. Come on. It is what it is. My first life philosophy. I can't control what I can't control. My second life philosophy. Ask yourself the night before, what is the one thing I need to take care of tomorrow? Write it down. Then tomorrow, do it. That's the third part of my life philosophy. What is the most important thing I need to do at this moment? Open that bank account, make the doctor's appointment, call that friend or relative you haven't talked to in a long time and you need to reconnect with. And also very important, here's a little caveat, everyone. You know what sometimes the most important thing you need to do is? Nothing. That's right. Sometimes you just need to step outside into your backyard or on your patio and sit and look at the flowers. Listen to the birds. Maybe take a walk in your neighborhood or the park. Sometimes you just need to recharge. My girlfriend did that yesterday. The night before, she said, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow morning? I'm going to hike because that's the most important thing I need to do. And she did it. And she felt great. And it changed her perspective on things and her way of thinking for the rest of the day. Everyone listening, if you listened this far, I hope you have, and you didn't wuss out and stop because, oh, Jeff's going in a different direction. In fact, I'm stopping the podcast for a moment, and I'm coming back to continue. But I'm going to hug, because this is the most important thing for me right now, my girlfriend. I'm going to give her a big hug. I'm going to pet our golden retriever, Cooper, let him kiss and lick me. And I'm going to pet our Maine Coon cat, Phoenix. So it's going to be a quick moment. Okay, thank you. I'm back. That was needed. Don't forget to join a World Gone Mad podcast on Facebook. You got to type in a World Gone Mad podcast. You got to use that word podcast. You'll find the Facebook group. Join a community with other people like yourself. Look, we're in a terrible spot right now in this country. And there's nothing magically you or I can say or do, or us can say or do overnight. We need to take one day at a time. We need to work on ourselves, and then we could be in a better frame of mind to be with family members who think like us and love us, and then we could join the action committees and the political groups and the different structures to change in 2 years, the midterms, and 4 years from now. Change politics for the future. But right now, it's about you, me, us. If you made it this far, I really hope all of you have. If you care enough, you're still with me. Look, we could remain angry. We could remain pissed. We could remain down. We could be frustrated. We could be thinking depressing and negative thoughts. Some of you are. You've written to me about it. But it's good to get it out of our system, but not to keep it inside continually. That's wasteful, destructive, and unhealthy. Trust me, I'm feeling all of what you're feeling and more. I do the podcast, so I get it, hitting me 100 times more. But I thought about this before I decided to continue my podcast. Bullshit. I'm not going to let this waste of DNA Donald and his waste of DNA supporters over half the country control my life. If you agree with me and you're going to make a change, let me know. Your words, your thoughts encourage me to continue. wolfpacklistener@gmail.com. Hey, or if someone, and I haven't heard from anyone in a long time, will use the toll-free phone number, 833-399-9653. No one's going to pick up the phone. It's just a voicemail system, and it's unlimited in North America and Canada. It's free. So who's going to use this and say hello? I haven't heard anybody use this in a long time. Who's going to be the first? Tell me what they're going to do differently in their life after such a terrible news and events this week. Look, politically, the Democratic Party needs a transformative candidate. That's not Biden, obviously, due to his age. It's not Kamala, even though she ran a great election campaign. Adam Schiff, I always thought would be a good president. Josh Shapiro, AOC, Pete Buttigieg. Quite frankly, none of them for me right now are what we need. The Democratic Party in this country need a transformative candidate. And I don't know who that is. We need a leader who moves us like an FDR or Harry Truman or young Bill Clinton or a Barack Obama. Someone who is genuine and effective in communicating to the everyday person and the other half of this country of what we want to do, what they want to do to transform this country into truly a great place to live. Take the 3 philosophies I shared with you, please. Take them to heart. Use them. And to Beth, especially, one of our listeners, and everyone else who is over 80, please smile for me, for yourself, and look at what you like most in your life. Whether it's a particular piece of music, a television show, a favorite plant you have, walking outside in the garden, another favorite place to see, or someone you enjoy talking to. I wish you, especially, the best of today and tomorrow. Please don't remain sad or depressed. And to all the Wolfpack listeners, established ones and new ones as of today, let's keep the eye on our day-to-day life, make each day better than the day before, not get wrapped up in all of this garbage that's happening now. I'm in a better frame of mind than last episode. And like I said, I'll be damned if they and him are going to ruin my life, and it may get harder and harder each day, but they are not going to take my soul, my dignity, or my thoughts. I just want to let all the listeners know. I have surgery coming up this Thursday, so I will be off of social media for a few days, and hopefully, depending on how the surgery goes, I will be able to respond back to you by Monday. This is A World Gone Mad. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. And until next week, definitely stay hopeful, everyone.